Okay. Welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for taking time and coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh my God, yeah, definitely. So, like, the first thing I want to start out asking you is, I see you do a little bit of everything. So, what drew you to want to act and write, direct, produce films?
What a big question. I love that. Let's explore. Let's go deep. Um, I mean, I was always a creative kid,
Okay,
like a creative kid that loved to make people laugh and loved to get scared and scare people. And
nice.
I think I thought when I got older I would grow out of that, but it turns out I really didn't. And like sometimes I joke, well, I guess it's not a joke that one of my formative sort of um building blocks of my creative inspiration is literally Goosebumps by R.L. Stein. The book series, the TV show, like really spoke to me as a very young kid, and I love to read, and it just shaped how I feel like I see the world in like a spooky, silly, brightly colored way. And I knew I wanted to act and tell stories and elicit reactions from people and hopefully make them giggle and gasp like the Goosebumps books made me giggle and gasp. And it just ended up with me happened to be wearing a lot of hats along the way. It's actor was just the plan. Actor was the dream. Actor was the plan. And then cut to writing, cut to some directing, cut to some editing, and now I kind of do it all a little bit. Acting is my is is my heart. So a lot of times I write for me to perform and stuff. But that's the rambling, long-winded answer to that question.
Oh, sweet. And I love the show too. Goosebumps. Like that was one of my favorite shows. Did you see like the newer ones, like the
Yes.
new show Justin Long stars in
Yes.
it? Yeah.
Yes. It's funny because my twin brother Matthew and I we have a Goosebumps podcast.
Oh, really?
Yes, so we go through all of the Goosebumps. It's called Welcome to Deadcast. Don't mean to plug it, but here I go. The Goosebumps podcast. We go through all the books, all of the episodes of the TV series, the movies, and we are now reviewing the new series on Disney Plus and Hulu. So we're along for the ride for the rest of our lives and probably after.
I when you said you're a fan of the show, you weren't kidding.
I'm not kidding. I got my Goosebumps water bottle here. Not kidding around.
I see that. And, I saw you've been on a lot of different television shows too. And was there any television show that you had the most fun on set?
Well, my first that's a great question. And honestly, a lot of the sets that I've been on have been like wildest dream total blasts, and everybody that I've sort of got to meet along the way that I've actors that I've looked up to, nobody has let me down, which I guess I'm asking for it now. But a particularly special experience was I was on an episode of Mom on
Yeah,
CBS with Allison
yeah.
Janney, and I Anna Faris and great, wonderful cast. And I filmed the episode and got my mom got to come see the filming of the episode, and it wasn't on her birthday, but it was her birthday weekend. So it was
Oh,
very, very sweet to have my mom seeing me on Mom on her mom weekend. And I got the after every show, the cast has like a party. So my
okay.
mom got to come backstage and hang out, literally kissed Allison Janney on the lips, like wild
Oh,
fun, like incredible night that I'll never forget. And the filming of it was such a blast. Um,
that's
Filming a
awesome.
multicam thing is like a mini play. So you have like a week of rehearsal and that live audience sort of laughter. And just the fact that it was my mom in the audience, like just so sweet. So that's a particularly special one for me. And that the cast was so wonderful to her and sort of brought her into our sort of little party for that after we were done filming. It was just especially sweet.
Oh wow, that really is nice. I bet that's one birthday that your mom's never gonna forget.
No. I've had to work really hard to create something just as fun ever since then.
Oh yeah, I'm
Like,
sure
oh
you
no,
did.
now I'm cursed. Like that's a pretty good birthday for her. Alice and Janie, come back. Make out next time.
Is that a ghost face shirt you
It
got?
sure
The
is.
Scream.
It sure
I
is.
seen that. Yeah.
It's all, and this is I'm in my at my house. I'm Halloween all the time at my house. So this is
I love it. My favorite holiday. I absolutely love it.
this is Jack-o'-lantern orange, by the way. Officially, like I have a problem. Big Halloween
Oh
in this
my
house.
oh my God, it's great. It's great. I absolutely love it. Like I said, Halloween. Like,
Yeah.
do you like going during the season? Do you like going to like all the haunted houses and the hay rides and all that stuff?
You know, I try to when I can. You know, Rocco, I actually I'm artistic director of a theater company that does immersive interactive theater here in LA, and we
Okay.
do a lot of what we do is very scary. So I write and perform in usually every fall a show that is a Halloweeny spooky show. So most often I am just performing during that season. So
Yeah.
I don't get to see a lot of other stuff. But every now and then when I get a night off, I mean, I'm in my happy place, so no complaints here.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but when I get a night off, I absolutely check out all that stuff and I love it. Hence me making it, like I love all of it.
Oh, nice, nice. And what was like the first film you ever wrote and directed?
It was this one, The Jessica Cabin.
Oh wait, really?
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Oh wow.
yeah, the film that we're chatting about a little bit today is my first. It's my first. It's the first feature that I wrote that has gotten made, and on the first feature that I have directed. Yeah.
Wow. That is really awesome. I love it.
Thanks.
So so like what inspired you to want to like star in it, write it, direct it, make it, edit it, and all that fun stuff that comes with it?
Yes. So I have my best friend from college, an actor named Riley Rose Critchlow. She and I have had a sketch comedy group that sort of turned into a production company called Mary Kate and Ashtray, and together we have we've performed a lot, and that sort of organically turned into like let's write a pilot together and film that. And so we wrote a 30-minute pilot and filmed it together, and then did a short film, and it just kind of seemed like the logical next step. It was very organic. It wasn't something where it was like we've got to do this and this and this. It's just our creative juices were flowing, and we thought, let's see if we can make a short. Like that sounds fun, and the short did well, and
Yeah.
it was in the middle of the pandemic ish, and she and I were texting and just said, what if with our other friend Chase Williamson, an actor who is also in the film. And the three of us are on this text thread and have known each other for years and performed together for years. And we were feeling creatively stifled during the pandemic, of course. We said, what if we made a low budget one location movie and just like got our feelings out, like got our creative juices out? Like, what if we just did that? And it sparked an idea for me where I just very quickly was like, all right, we have one location. We want it to be funny and spooky because that's where my heart lives, right? And so does Riley's, and so does Chase's. So it was Riley's idea to do it. Sent me a text, and then
Oh really?
once I was given that permission, essentially, I was off to the races. And I very quickly wrote The Jessica Cabin out of sort of the feelings that I was feeling during the pandemic, which I felt like a ghost. I felt like, and The Jessica Cabin is a queer gay ghost story, and I felt like a ghost in some ways. I felt like I couldn't connect. I feel like we were all felt like we were stuck in some location. And I didn't want to make a pandemic movie. That's not what I wanted to do or make or even comment on. It's just the feelings I was feeling at the time came out through a ghost story. And what if, these, and I was like, I'm gay and I want everything that I write and make, I want to be queer forward. It's just what I'm interested in and what I want to put out there. And I thought, I've never in my life heard of a gay ghost. Where are they? Where's the representation? So
I
I thought,
never heard of that either. You're absolutely right. Like
there's got to be some gay ghosts, right? So I thought, why not me? Why not me? Why not us? So one location, ghosts stuck in a house, gay ghosts stuck in a house. What do they do? And I wrote it really fast, really fast. And once it was written, I just thought, okay, let's try and raise money and let's see if we can do it. And the question then came, it was written for me, it was written for Riley, it was written for Chase. I definitely wrote it for us to do. And I didn't expect it to sort of take off the way it did.
Yeah.
And a couple months later, we were filming and it went well. And I didn't realize I would feel so confident as a director. And then once we got done with the movie, I was so excited about it that I was meeting with editors to try and figure out who could put this together. I'm just figuring all of this out as I'm going. Like really every step of the way, I was like, can I do this? I think so. Let's try. And Chase was like, why don't you edit it? And I thought, can I do that? How do I? Okay. So I just figured it out and did it. And it took, a year to get finished. But
Oh yeah.
now it's here. So producer, editor, writer, director, actor, all the above.
Everything.
Um, but it was none of it was like truly really intentional. I just knew the story I wanted to tell and I felt like, well, I know what I want to say, so maybe I should take the lead, as the writer, and like let me see if I can do it all. And it turns out I really liked it.
Yeah, you definitely did it too. You wore every hat there is to wear in this
Lots of
film, and it turned out to be great.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll probably do it again. I am doing it again.
Is it is it hard though to act in a film and direct yourself too?
It is hard. And there were many times where I was calling action and cut on myself, as the crew is laughing at me. But what's wonderful is Riley, who it really is my creative partner in our Mary Kate and Ashtray group. She has such a lot of the cast. We've worked together for so long that we know each other really well and we know how each other works. So
Mm.
she was able to sort of keep an eye on things for me, and she has an assistant director credit, and maybe she should have more than that, honestly, because she had such an eye on a lot of things for me. Because honestly, the what took the longest during filming was between takes, I would have to go run and watch playback to see if I liked what I did, and give myself notes. So that kind of holds things up sometimes. And the ideas that Riley could see and had for me and for the film just made it 10 times better. I think our next go around, she and I will do it together, like officially be a team. But it was hard, but I liked it. Like, I really had a clear idea of what I wanted. So I didn't have to say the direction out loud. I knew I could just do it. So I was like, all right, we're going to do it again. And I know what I'm going to do. And like, let's go.
Oh, sweet, sweet. And like how does it feel to be the first person to make gay Ghost? And do you hope that there's more gay Ghosts to come?
Yeah, I really do. I'd like to, yes, I would love to take that title. It's the least I could do for our community, living and after living. I just feel like,
After living.
you know, what I'm really interested in, honestly, is I really want there to be more queer stories and gay sort of storylines where the conflict and the terror or drama isn't necessarily help I'm gay, like it isn't like life is terrifying enough, I think, as you know, like a queer person. There's a lot of, you know, there's a lot going on, and I just want to see gay people represented, queer people represented in a way that we haven't seen before, and hopefully that's a normal way, right? They're just, you know, living and breathing and experience, like, in leads of films, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like, and I've had this struggle coming out, or I'm being
Yeah.
persecuted, and those stories have value, absolutely. But for me, I thought, like, let's make these ghosts gay, like, let's make these ghosts queer, but it doesn't have to be that's the only thing about them, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Exactly.
Right. And there is an element of speaking about, like, their history and the challenges that they've gone through, because that's who they are, but it's not the real crux of the story. And you know, anytime I write a script, or even am hired to write a script, I really fight for there to be as many queer characters as possible, and queer lead characters as possible, even in places where maybe they were originally supposed to be a straight person. Like, why don't we just make them gay? Because why not?
Right,
Because I
exactly.
can, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, I can, so, like, why not?
And I'm a huge horror fan, and I love seeing how, like, it seems like just recently, like, there's been a lot more like queer horror films being made. Like years back, I think the only queer horror film that was out was that movie Hell Bent.
Yes,
I
yes. And
think
I
that was like
remember
the
going to
only.
go see that in a
Yeah,
because I was like, I've got to go see a game, like, this is the one, you know? Yeah, I feel that.
and that movie was so good too. It was like a good slasher film, and I was
Yes, it slapped
really
it.
shocked they never made a part two to that. Like they could have made that devil muscle guy like another Jason.
They still can, I guess. I hope there's more. I hope we are overwhelmed by gay horror icons.
Right? Yes, exactly.
I hope
Gay
so.
gay horror icons, gay ghosts. You have to put some horror vibes out.
Yeah. Doing my part, I promise you.
I know you are. Yes. and, uh, and and you said like you filmed in like one area. Where did you wind up filming at?
So we filmed in near Joshua Tree here in good old Southern California. The film was originally written to be a cabin in the woods. It
Okay.
was
Okay.
That was the idea. You know, we thought one location, let's twist around a trope, and that is cabin in the woods, right? And as we were looking at locations, we did find a couple cabins in woods, and you know, they were okay. And then a friend of mine, who's one of the producers in the film, Jenna Johnson, she actually owns the what ends up being the Jessica cabin, owns that cabin,
Oh,
and it's an Airbnb. And she said, well, it's different because her cabin is in the middle of the desert. There's nothing around. And so I thought, okay, what if we switch from cabin in the woods to cabin in the middle of nowhere desert, and have it go from, like, dark, spooky, woodsy to, like, stark, bright daylight, you know, like just ghostly daylight. And so it was a pivot, but as you can see in the film, the cabin is this bright
yeah.
cherry red. Like, it is just this shockingly beautiful color. And I went to go see it, was really inspired by it. And I thought, oh, yeah, this is a house that I'd want to spend 80 minutes in, you know, like,
Okay.
like, watch for 80 minutes. Like, it's
Yeah.
interesting enough. It's dynamic enough. I think it's really beautiful, and it's tiny, but I thought it deserved a movie. And so I rewrote a couple things to sort of fit that particular location. And I'm glad it worked out the way that it did. I think it makes it stand out a little bit. It's not a cabin in the woods movie, but it's still a
Well,
cabin movie.
yeah. Yeah, like I mean, most cabin horror films, like you were saying, is like dark and creepy, and it's in the middle of the night, and
Yeah.
and this one you had a little light in it instead of it
Yeah.
being a little dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was smart. I like that.
I'm glad. It also was it's very windy out there too. And it was our last day of filming. The wind is so strong and kind of scary because it literally howls. I was like, it's gonna ruin the sound.
Oh, wow.
But our last day, I'm so glad we finished when we did, because this crazy wind sandstorm came through. And even with all the doors and windows closed, you could feel the wind finding its way through cracks, and
Oh
sand
my
just
God.
sort of like appear in the house. So there's an element of like, oh gosh, spookiness, even with like
I know,
just in the middle of
exactly.
the desert, like you're like at the will of nature,
Wow. And, was there a scene that you were in that you loved doing most?
Yeah, there's this we have so the film is about two ghosts that essentially one falls in love, I think one falls in like with a guy that is renting the cabin for the weekend, and they choose that they're going to do whatever it takes to get this guy to stay with them forever. And eventually my character, one of the ghosts, has a pretty solid interaction with this guy, and we have this insane scene. It's in the latter half of the film, but we have this insane scene that requires a lot of physical comedy with us sort of slapping and punching and choking each other, basically, and and in a fun way. And and that scene was the second to last day of filming, and I it was just a blast to together figure out like it's this glorious, ridiculous montage of us literally doing all kinds of things to each other physically. And it was fun to sort of break down, all right, what are the funniest things we could physically do to each other, and how can we get those done in like a safe way, that a way that we're both really comfortable with. And he and I have been friends for a very long time and are very comfortable with each other. But it was the only time, I think, throughout the whole process that I'm so good at not breaking and not laughing. And that was the hardest had to try to not laugh. Like I almost laughed a few times. And that to me is a sign of like, I'm doing something right, because it takes a
Yeah.
lot for me to laugh. And I'm like, oh, if I'm about to burst out laughing with us choking each other, then I know other people, at least some other people, will think it's funny too. So that was a moment where I was like, I know we're doing something right, because I can barely keep it together. And
Right.
it is a moment that is earned. Like it takes a while to get to that moment, and I
Yeah.
and I don't want to spoil anything necessarily for anybody, but it's a really ridiculous moment that was initially, we had a few ghost montages that were happening throughout the film, and I cut the other ones because I wanted this one to really shine. I felt like it was the most important one to the story and to the most ridiculous. So I thought, like, let's just really let this shine. And that's also we get to full comedy there.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
although it's a ghost story, and a lot of people, even yesterday, a friend of mine was like, "Oh, I'm scared to watch your movie." And I was like, "Don't be scared. It's spooky. It's not scary. I know it looks like
Yeah.
it's going to be. But by the time you reach that point, we're in wacky, like full-blown comedy. And I love that we start off so dark and then get there."
And then go to comedy, yeah. Yeah. And
Wild.
I mean, I'm sure there were so many different stories, but was there any funny or cool stories from the set?
Well, what was this? This is I can't believe this is the first one that comes to mind, but it was a hard moment. Um, so because what we were filming during, like, it was the time of vaccines, right? This is like
Okay.
towards the end of the pandemic, but not everybody was vaccinated. So we had to do the quarantine, the all of the above. We had to wear the mask. My DP was wearing a shield, as face shield as well. We had a COVID supervisor on set, stopped every hour to sanitize, like
Oh, wow.
strict, COVID protocols. So that meant that the cast was all staying at the actual cabin together, and then the
Mhm.
crew was staying at another location together, so that we were sort of um, quarantined in our own little zones. And I, as the guy in charge, was, you know, managing our house, but also managing the Airbnb, just this behind the scenes, managing, like, set up the Airbnb, like our producers got it all set up. And the day of that scene I was just talking about,
Yeah.
that wild sort of moment between Chase's character, my character, um, basically the plumbing exploded in that house. And I had to leave set, run over to the house, deal with some things I would never like to go into detail about, and actually get a new Airbnb for the crew for that night, and then race back to set and like pretend like everything was fine. And during that scene, I was getting calls from the owner of the Airbnb trying to help me sort of figure stuff out. So it was just like a real exercise in staying present when the camera's on, and then
Yeah.
like going into work mode when the camera's
Oh,
off, to just solve this problem because we were like running out of time and running out of, you know. So it was just all those hats that we talked about. Like,
yeah.
it felt like
It
one too many
definitely,
hats that to like
it
one too many
definitely,
hats that day. But why it stands out, I think, is I watched that scene, that sequence, and I nobody would ever know. You know what I mean? Nobody would, like, but I watched that and I'm like, wow, that day was really crazy, and people will never have any idea.
yeah, well, I mean, now they'll know, like,
Now they will.
how
I've
much went
ruined
into
that.
making
I've
it.
ruined that scene. It's destroyed. But I'm grateful that more stuff like that didn't happen, because I was ready for things to like constant. What did happen is we lost two lights in the wind. They broke.
Oh,
So by the
wow.
end of the film, we only had one light that we were using, and just had to figure it out, you know. So it was a lot of, that's what filmmaking is a lot of the time, is just, you got to figure it out in the moment. We're running out of light, we're running out of time, just do it now, like whatever's going to work. A lot of that. That day stands out to me.
Okay. And, so, like, how does it feel that your film was picked for a lot of different queer film festivals and your film won too?
Yeah. You know, it was really exciting. It was really, I really am really proud of the movie. I, I think it's great. So like when other people thought it was great too, I thought, oh my gosh, it's not just me. Like, it's not just in my mind. It seems like other people really like it. And I had the time of my whole life really traveling. I told myself, I don't know if I'll ever do this again, and I am, but at the time I don't know if I'll ever do this again. But every film festival that we get into, I'm gonna go to. Like, I'm just gonna,
Okay.
like. So we went to London, went to Palm Springs and Toronto, and Seattle twice, which I loved, and Miami and North Carolina, a lot of like really fun places. And we just had our first LA screening just a couple weeks ago, and you know, it's really exciting. It's really fun to hear people react to it, and just, every time I watch it, uh, I people react in different spots. There's a lot of vocal reactions to the film, which I really, really, really love, and you know, and I never get tired of watching it. So, um, it's been really fun. It's been really exciting. I miss it already. Like, I just love film festivals in general.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it was great to meet a lot of really fun, cool people and visit, like, just get outside of. I'm like, this is the coolest possible reason to travel. You know, I'm like,
Right,
I'm
exactly.
I'm from North Carolina originally.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
born and raised in North Carolina, and I had a just fine time in North Carolina, but I was ready to get out. There's a screenplay about that, and like, ready to get out. And I told myself, and my parents have now moved from North Carolina, and I have only one or two friends still there. Really, it's sort of like, it doesn't feel like home at all anymore. And I told myself, like, I probably won't go back unless I have a really good reason.
And the
And
film was a reason.
and it was accepted into a film festival in North Carolina. I was like, that's a good reason.
That's a
Let's
good reason to go, yeah.
go. Yeah, it was nice.
Nice. And I saw on your page one of the film festivals that a coffee shop named a drink after your film, right?
You know, it was here in LA, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was, what an unexpected joy and highlight that was. You know, the film came out in September, but because of the actors strike, I was not allowed to tell anybody about it. And the cast
Yeah.
was also not allowed to post. And we were like, oh no, we worked so hard on this tiny independent film and we can't say anything. And we really worked really hard with SAG to figure something out. It just didn't happen in time. And I thought, oh my gosh, well, like how's anybody gonna know if I can't like post or say or speak or whatever it is? And my one of the executive producers, Alan Mills, who's also my manager, for acting career wise, was like, we got to figure out some fun ways for people to know about the film if they can't through, social media essentially. And
Mhm.
we ended up it was all Alan, but we partnered with a coffee shop here in LA called Horror Vibes Coffee that has it is the
Nice.
most eclectic, gorgeous, spooky. It is a horror fan, like absolute must if you're in LA. You
Oh,
got to
really?
go to Horror Vibes Coffee. I was a big fan of it for years anyway, but they have a whole list of drinks, a menu of drinks that are all based on horror movies, and they
Oh
change.
my
Some
God.
of them stay all year round, and some of them change based on the season. And there's an artist named Phil Bork who does all of their murals, and it's just like a stunning mecca of horror and coffee. It is just a
I know.
stunning place. And the fact, and they were like, we know the movie, like let's do a drink to like celebrate the release of the film, and then the strike was over and we could talk about it and it didn't matter, but it was still so wonderful and exciting, and I got to go and like give my feedback on what I wanted the drink to taste like and look like, and we did a taste test, and it was on the menu for a weekend, and it was called a Lonely Ghost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was a peppermint coconut latte with um, blue whipped cream to match my hair.
Blue whipped cream.
Yeah, it was the
Oh,
sweetest. I mean, it was the perfect amount of sweet, but it was the coolest, most satisfying sort of celebration of the film that I could never expect. It was really cool. It was very fun.
oh my God. I definitely have to make a trip out there and
You
see
should.
this coffee shop.
I
Yeah.
can't recommend it enough. Really, it's the shop is incredible.
Nice, nice. And when you are not filming and acting and doing everything that you do, what do you like doing during your free time?
Free time? Um, honestly, truly, Rocco, the last really 2 years at this point has been like full on Jessica Cabin.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
and it has taken up a lot of I just knocked my ring light. It has taken up so much of my time and energy in the best possible way.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That has just made me more excited to make other things. So I do watch a lot of movies. I do read a lot. I read a lot of Stephen King.
Oh,
But
nice.
I mentioned this this immersive theater company that I'm artistic director of. It's called JFI Productions. So when I'm not acting or making other things of my own with the theater company, we do shows all year round. So we
Okay.
just closed a show called The Willows last night that ran for the fall and is a 2-hour murder mystery um,
Nice.
dinner experience at this big gorgeous mansion. And I wrote it in 2017. So we've been doing it almost, except for the pandemic, we've been doing it every year. And it is a wonderful way to stay creatively active and continue to tell stories. And so a lot of creating is happening in my brain. I also draw. I do sketch portraits of people as well.
Oh,
I just have to move these hands. Like I just so there's not an incredible lot of downtime, but when there is, it's usually me with yoga with Adrian on YouTube. Just a lot of yoga to calm my spinning brain down.
okay,
And
okay.
a lot of horror movies I do watch. I try and watch at least one a week, just to sort of like keep up with and make sure I don't get but there's just so many things out there, and I want to make sure I'm abreast on all of the horror. So
Nice.
my way of relaxing is like
Watching horror movies, of
pulling up and
course.
putting on a horror movie.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm the same way.
Ultimate relaxation. Like that's
Yeah.
it.
So, what's a horror movie that you watch the most, you think?
That I've watched the most.
Mhm.
Halloween H2O.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's I really like. I have a big love for 90s slashers and for
Hmm.
the classics, and Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer are a close second behind Halloween H2O. But that's sort of like 96 through 98 sweet spot. There's something about the camp and the brevity and the wit of it all that
Yeah.
really speaks to me and just never gets old. So um Halloween H2O also is. I was joking with some people. The Jessica Cabin is 73 minutes, and Halloween H2O is only 74 minutes. It's a short movie. So someone said, like, how long is your film? I'm like, well, it's 1 minute shorter than Halloween H2O, which means nothing to you, but everything to me. So it is also the perfect, you can watch it many times because it's just so short. And um, and I can quote it front to back. I thought for a while Halloween was my favorite movie, and then I realized it was Halloween H2O. It just
Oh,
is.
okay. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis was really good in that movie, and Michael finding her 20 years later, and
And then like her handling it, and then that cut to credits. Like that's it.
I mean, when I watched that movie, I thought that that really was the end of Michael until they made the other
Yeah, I
movie
know.
where it wasn't really him that she killed, and
But it's like it's gold. It's Michelle Williams, Josh Hartnett, LL Cool J, like uncredited Kevin Williamson, who did like the final pass on the did most of the writing, final pass on the whole script. It's also filmed at a location not too far from my house that I have had the gorgeous privilege of doing a couple events in that house, and I just
oh
like get full body tingles that I'm like, it feels so it feels so personal to me. Janet Leigh is in it, like with the psycho
yeah,
car. It's
yes,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt at the beginning. Like
yeah,
it's just so good. It's
gets the
so good.
hockey skate.
Yes. It's just it's great.
Oh no, that's a really good movie. I will say that that's one of my out of all the Halloween movies. That's definitely one of my top ones.
Yeah. Is it should be.
I know, it should, yeah. And if you were gonna do a karaoke song, what do you think you would sing?
A karaoke song? Oh gosh. Oh, this is a great question. This is really embarrassing. Maybe it's not that embarrassing, but the first song that I did at karaoke, and I'm confident in it, um, was "Doo Wop That Thing" by Lauryn Hill.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
the only like I think it's the only. I mean, she raps the both of those verses. I know every word, just every word. So like, I'm confident in the like. I just have a feeling that it'll be my deathbed, and the last thing I'll say is the second verse of that song. You know what I mean? Um, is is that probably my first choice? Probably not right now, but it, but it's my classic, I think.
Okay, okay. And the last thing that I'll ask you is where can fans follow you and follow the film at?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram is really the good place. I'm just Daniel X Montgomery on Instagram. The X doesn't stand for anything. Um, and you can also follow me on Twitter, but like what's happening there? And it's just Daniel Montgomery on X or Twitter. So here's what I'll say. The film is only available up until Christmas. So if you're gonna
Oh,
watch it, you've got to watch it now. It's available on Apple TV and iTunes. It's available on Amazon. It's on YouTube. It's on Vudu. It's on a lot of places. Basically, anywhere you can watch a movie, if you Google The Jessica Cabin, it will show up. You can get a DVD at Best Buy. You can get one at Walmart.com, both of those places, anywhere, but watch it and watch it now. The idea is it will eventually live on another platform, but for now,
yeah.
this is where it can be seen, and probably only for probably for a while. So I say watch it now, and the link for all of those is on my Instagram in my bio. Very easily, you just right there, and it lists everywhere you can see it and buy it and rent it. And please do. And if you like it, which I know you will, write a review. Just say yay, or letterbox, or give us some stars. It actually really, I'm learning, makes a huge difference in terms of what movies get made and where the movie goes and what the future of movies will look like. Because if people like this type of thing, the more people notice and it will get made. And that's what I think we all want. So I know that's what I want.
So that's all someone has to do is write yay, right?
That's it. Just write yay, but please write yay exclamation point. So I know you're excited.
Exactly. Yeah.
No periods, please. Just an exclamation point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or like just write any review. Just literally just show that it has been watched.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. It was really fun
Thank,
talking to you. Thank you.
thank you so much for having me. I had a total blast.
Yeah, anytime you want to come back on another horror you're making, feel
Yes, it's
free.
happening. So next
Um,
one.
definitely, definitely.
Let's do it. Yes, we're keeping it gay, we're keeping it funny, we're keeping it scary. That
Exactly.
is the thing
Yes.
I'm making next. It's all of those things.
Oh my God, I
Consistent.
love it. All right, buddy. We'll have a great night, and thanks again for doing this. And now I have to get back and finish the last few minutes of my job.
Thank you for taking the time.
Definitely. Bye.
All right, bye.
And, oh, wait, there we go. Oh, stop.